I turned myself around a little bit. Well, hello, happy Friday. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It's great to see you tonight. My mom coming up, she's coming up the stairs. She's making her way up the stairs. That's okay. I turned myself around so I could be facing the lights because I know it's going to get dark during the course of this show. Welcome back, everybody. It's great to see you. You can see I'm at my mom's house tonight. I will explain all of that later. What a 24 hours it's been. But great to be here, and I'm hoping that the connection will be okay. I did some tweaks on the computer. I never understand when things are glitchy. I am not the one to understand such things, right? That is beyond the realm of my wisdom. But I made some changes, and I hope that we are lucky tonight because I was going to do a show about the current issue of Magpie Times, and I thought, why don't we do that like Monday? Tonight, I wanted to do something that I could stretch a bit longer. I don't want to stretch too much with Magpie because it's a big issue. It's a great issue, and I'm hoping everybody buys the issue. I've got copies at home, Ribbon Candy Hooking website, and of course, there's copies on Amazon, particularly if you are in another country. So we'll look at the latest issue of Magpie Times on Monday. I think that'd be a good thing to do because if I go into a lot of detail for each article, it might be like, what's the point of buying the magazine? And of course, the magazine is what sustains the business along with all of the other orders. And thank you so much for all of that. So we'll do that on Monday. And I thought tonight, let's do something we haven't done for a long time. And that is look at some rugs that are available for you and for me online right now. I looked at eBay at some of the current rugs that are on there. I think it's good to check in like once a month and say, what is there that's new? What's happening out there? What does it cost? Is that a good value? Am I getting ripped off? What does this language mean? Does that sound sketchy? Things like this, because not all of us live in a place where we see drugs all the time. Looks like I'm glitching. Maybe not. Looks weird. At least looks weird. So I know a lot of us really depend on the internet to be able to find rugs and acquire rugs and collect. So let's look at some of those beauties tonight that are online now that you have a chance if you're interested in getting. But I don't have my code of the hashtags and all of the names here. So I will say, Jujune, happy Friday night. Welcome back. It is great to see you in Pennsylvania. Cheryl, cheers, my dears. It is great to see you. I was having so much wine and cocktails in the last couple of weeks. My mom, the world time best cocktail maker, but now I'm just doing a flavored water because I was putting weight back on, if you noticed. It didn't take long to put weight back on after all that weight loss. So I'm taking it easy now, but I'll do cheers, my dears, with my bottle of water. Still really good, this lemon water. Diane, great to see you. Welcome back. Becky, that's you, right? That's you, Owl. Welcome back. Good evening and cheers, my dears. How glitchy am I? Tell me the truth. You know how I'm sensitive about this. It doesn't seem like it's really perfect. Let's see, cute thumbnail. Yeah, thank you. It was hard to pick a thumbnail because I was choosing from the rugs that I found that I want to talk about tonight, and it was a winter theme. And when I saw it, it just made me feel good because it was such a terrible heat warning today, and I know a lot of you got this yesterday or the day before that the kids were given a half day at the last minute. Like yesterday, the school wrote and said, we're going to give the kids a half day because we're worried about the heat. So, okay, so I mean, when I think about it, so at the height of the day, I was cruising around all day today. I was busy all day. I looked at the dashboard and it was 90 outside. 90 is high. Don't get me wrong. 90 is high. It was, I would say, not humid at all. Did you think it was humid today, Mom? Did you think it was humid today? Oh, she thought it was humid. See, I didn't. I felt like the oven door was open and it was just blasting me with like painful, burning, scorching heat, but I didn't feel the humidity. It was hot, but I tried to remember a time from my childhood when we got out of school because it was too hot. I don't remember that. I don't, I'm very happy when they do because I feel they go to school more than I ever did when I was younger. But at the same time, I thought it was curious, a curious thing to get that email. They were very happy to get out of school. Believe me, their last day is next Thursday, so they've got 2 half days coming up next week. They have like one foot on a banana peel and the other in summer, and you remember how that feels. It feels so good when you're a kid because it feels like it's going to last forever, doesn't it? And I think when you're in it, it does feel like it's going to last forever. And as much as you want to say, "Yay, I'm happy I'm not at school," I think they do get bored. So Joss is at 2 camps this summer, but Teddy keeps himself busy. But I think by the time the school year rolls around again, that they feel like seeing people again. That's just my suspicion. They will never admit that. New Moon, great to see you. Welcome back, Judy. Welcome back. Great to see you, Melissa. Welcome back. Hello. Great to see you. Linda, cheers, my dears. In New Jersey, I'm going to do it too. I'm going to take a chance to do. And this really, my mom's like, oh, this is the best water ever. It's from her local grocery here. It's like a left water. I'm doing a live show, just so you know. I didn't see her if she went into the bathroom. We'll know if she went into the bathroom. We don't want her blowing up the bathroom. It's the door like right here. So I hope that doesn't happen to us during the live show. Bloopers. Sharon, great to see you. Happy Friday night and welcome back. It's great to see you. Diana's in Canada and says, cheers, my dears. Cheers, my dears, to you too. Catherine, cheers to all on cocktail night working on coming up roses. Oh, fantastic. Oh, I'm so glad. That's such a cutie. And the other one is shipping. I did the dyeing for it. I did some of the dyeing before I left because this is like a lot of kits I put out at once. And this is the Mousehole Farm series. So this is the monthly series I've been doing. I'm gonna start doing more kits for people, not just Mousehole, because there's a big demand for Mousehole, which I'm so grateful for. But I feel like that says to me maybe there's a demand for more kits in general. So maybe I should just be thinking about doing more kits in general, particularly for new people who are coming in and want something different, or people who want to change their style. It's nice to change it up and try something a little bit different. So I'm going to be thinking about that for sure. I did some of the dyeing before the trip, and then I did some of the dyeing. Couldn't have been Sunday, right? Because I came right back, and then I just jumped into Sunday. It must have been Monday. I did some of the dyeing. No, it wasn't. Yeah, I did. I did some on Monday, and then I got a bunch more bolts arrived from Door on Wednesday. Yeah, no, on Tuesday. On Tuesday. And I did more dyeing on Tuesday PM and a little bit on Wednesday, and then I was about to finish some more on Thursday, and I still have a bunch of the rest of it. They're like the last. I did all of the main colors for the Crazy Eights for the kits, but I needed to do some. I always give some extra. I'm sure if you do these kits, you end up with a lot of extra, a lot of extra colors for like the mouse's skin tone and the two dogs, Laundry and Lint Ball. They are two different colors, and the pink for the noses, and the black for outlining. And then I cut that to a number 3. I cut the others to a number 5, and then the rest you cut yourself. So I still have a bunch to do just to be sure if you need some and you didn't get the previous kits, which I'm sure have a lot of extra colors. If you're getting it for the first time, you're going to need some extra. So I was doing all those, and guess what happened? Such a classic. We had no water. Starting last night, we had no water. When I say we had no water, I mean like there was no water coming out of the faucet. So if you're just checking and thinking, wait a minute, wait, is it like 2026 or is it like Little House on the Prairie times? No, it's 2026. I'm not going to start. But I will say I noticed that there was a water pressure problem before we left for the Cape. So this was like over a month ago. I mentioned it to my beloved, who I love very much, my darling husband, and he ignored it because the best thing to do when there's about to be a huge expensive problem is to ignore it and hope that it goes away. Obviously, right? Obviously, I was saying to my mom and to some of the girls at the church earlier today, I don't want to be sexist, but we felt that this might be a man thing. No offense to any of my buddies out there. I have only noticed this quality in men. I haven't seen, well, I can't say that. I can't say that for sure because my husband's mother, who I love very much, this is where he got this from. Let's detect some really ominous sort of harbingers of hell and doom And now that they're on the radar, let's ignore them for as long as possible. Let's ignore them until something really bad and expensive happens. I can tell I'm glitching right now. So that's what happened. Just a little glitchy there. Let's see if we can get, sometimes we get into the groove and it glitches less. I hope that that's the case. So sure enough, at like 11 o'clock last night, I was working on this show and I wasn't going to do any more dyeing, but I was going to put a little more water and Synthropol into the tub and nothing came out of the faucet. So really good times. And then the plumber, was going to come like next Thursday. And I thought, well, that's not going to work, is it? And I said to my husband, you know what we're going to do now is pay for an emergency plumber. And you know how that doesn't cost the same as like a regular plumber. When it's an emergency and they have to come to your house and cancel other appointments, they slaughter you. So I said, this is what comes of it, right? Of this magical thinking that like things are going to just go away, right? And it's like it was your imagination 1,000 times. It was your imagination. I do. I have a well, and that's different too. So, $11,000 later, the water is running this afternoon. So, in the meantime, I didn't know how long it was going to take, and I came over to my mom's early to shower because we were having our group at the church. By the way, if any of you are local, sort of Hartford, Connecticut, or New England, we started in again with our Hearts and Hands groups on Fridays in Hartford between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Today we were there until 3, after 3. We were having so much fun, but we all work on different things, and some people work on hooking. In fact, a couple of people came today, a guy and a lady I only knew from online and from when I judged the Big E. She's put in a rug in the past. If you remember the Egyptian rug, it was outrageously great. It was like a giant Egyptian themed rug with a Cleopatra eye and a bunch of other sort of Egyptian tropes. That was Arlene. She came with Pedro, who's a friend of theirs, that they want to learn how he wants to learn how to hook. So she swung by to get some supplies and stuff. It was very nice to meet them both in person. So that group is always there for you on Fridays. Let me know if you want to come. I can make sure you have the address and I'll make sure you have my phone number so you can tell me when you're at the door and I'll come and get you and you can join us. It's always a small group of super friendly people who always like to see new faces. So that's always there for you. So we ended up coming back to my mom's because I already told the kids that we would come and it's like a special thing when we do. And I didn't want to take it away, even though this new plumber we called was able to come today and fix the problem. It was both the well pump and then the something else, right? The thing that keeps the stones out, the whatever. Yeah, unexpected, right? Boo. But whatever, it's fixed now. Now there's like brown water pouring out of it. It's like rust and stuff because now the well is all disrupted. Oh well, these things happen. What can you do, right? You can't kill people, so you have to pay bills and just keep going, right? What else is there? So anyway, that's why I'm in a different place, and it was a bit of a hectic day, but I'm definitely ready to spend some quality time together and think about things other than bills, right? So let me see. Let me catch up with where we were. And Catherine, I hope I said, yep, I said hello because you said you were working on coming up roses. And so I was going to finish the dyeing like earlier. And of course, I didn't do that. So that was a bummer, but I will have that soon. So if those of you have orders in for the next kit, that'll definitely go out on Monday. And there'll probably be one extra. So be thinking about that by the time the subscribers come. There's always one or two extra, occasionally three. But this is a really cute design. I hope you've seen it already. It's definitely on Ribbon Candy Hooking. I don't have it with me because I forgot it that kind of a day, right? So this one is called Life is But a Dream, and Margot the Mouse is rowing her two pups in it. It's beautiful, sort of different colors. And meanwhile, I will be downstairs after the show working on the next one. I don't think I have a name for that yet. Oh, yes, it is. I can't tell you what it is. You're going to know what the scene is. It'll be impossible to not make the association. So you'll see it soon. Diane's is just a little glitchy, and keep me updated on that because you know how I hate it when it's glitchy and the show isn't worth watching. And Joyce, great to see you in Pennsylvania. I may see you soon because I'm planning to go to Sauter Village again this year, and I'm wondering who else is going to Sauter Village. I'm not doing a show. I'm not doing a talk. I'm going out there to hang out, to shop, to visit. To spend time. So I will be out there. I'll probably be out there for 2 days again because it's the week before the kids go back to school and it's just a busy time. I might actually have them with me. I might bring my husband and the two kids, and they might like to cruise around and check out Sauter Village. And certainly they've never been to Ohio. But I plan to be there. So I hope that I will see some of you there again. And it does feel like a weight off my shoulders to not have to think about getting the rugs together for a show and everything else, you know. It's just a lot. So it'll be fun to just go and have fun. Great, great to see you. Happy Friday night and welcome back. Catherine Cheers from, I know I used to screw this up. Temecula. Did I screw that up? I know you told me how to say that, and I had it for a while. Lar, great to see you in Las Vegas. Lar, I have some ideas for you for Halloween stuff, for Halloween images. I have about 15 things to bounce off of you right now, so I'll send you some choices right after the show. I've been going back and forth with Patreon members because Patreon members, anybody who supports on Patreon, and you can support for $5 a month, right? Just to um, goodwill, right? And if you enjoy the shows and you enjoy the brand and you know how much work I do with outreach, and I do so much stuff for free in the screen and out there to try to bring people closer to rug hooking. That's all part of the brand. That's all part of my life, and that all comes out of my time and my budget. So I really appreciate the Patreon members, and I always try to go to Patreon first to have people hook the new designs. And I send patterns out and stuff to Patreon members so they can start working on stuff for upcoming books because I certainly can't hook it all. I mean, that would be physically impossible. No one is that fast, right? Maybe Elizabeth LaFour was that fast, but I'm sure not. So I'll send you some of those choices later, and anybody can join Patreon anytime and jump into the conversation because right now I'm looking for people to hook Halloween designs for this year's autumn book, which is called The Mystic Carpet. It'll be smaller than The Haunted Rug. The Haunted Rug was like 200 pages, crazy book. The Rose book is even larger, and I'll talk about that in a second too. We'll do all of our business first, but I'm always looking for people to hook things like that, right, for book projects. And while I'm saying that, let me just finish that train of thought and say. I'm working on the Spilling the Tea book, and I've identified 2 or 3 patterns that I know I will not get to. If anyone thinks that they can get a pattern done by like um, middle July, right? I could shoot something to you on linen or as a PDF if you think you can do it. There's 2 or 3 things I'd like to have. If you have a pattern that is a pattern that refers to not a patriotic pattern, right? Because not everybody's feeling it, but if you have a pattern that refers to the early settlement days or the 1770s, the actual revolutionary period or the colonial period, if you have a pattern of your own that you'd like to put in the book, run that by me too, as long as you don't mind sharing the pattern, because if people like it, they want to hook it too. It's not a gallery book. I don't do look how pretty it is books, right? I do books where there's a bunch of patterns in there and people can sit down with it and go, I'm going to do these 2 for the season. This is my pick. This is what I'm doing. So I always welcome other people's patterns too. It doesn't have to be like me, 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 and more me. So I'm looking for possible help with that. Otherwise, I'm in very good shape with it, but there is always the chance of doing 1 or 2 more, right? Because that's the kind of crazy person that I am. I'm working on that. I'm working on the Halloween book, right? I'm ramping up and getting patterns out to people so they can get started with that because I want that to come together in August. The Rose book has just reprinted, so that's reprinting and being sent to me. If you ordered one, I'll send it as soon as I get it back. If you might have caught the previous episode where I say I returned them because this sounds like a small thing, but it's not a small thing. All of the covers were screwed up. None of them looked good, and it's a 230-page book that costs $40 with me and $45 on Amazon because it's got like 80 patterns in it and it's massively long. It's the largest book that I've had anything to do with so far. So it costs a lot to print, and I'm not paying for it if they're going to send me copies of books where the cover is screwed up. That's not the word I normally use. I was so upset. I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown when I saw those books. So I sent them back, and they're being reprinted. So we'll see what happens. The next one should be just fine. I think they knew that I was quite unhappy. Anyway, so those things are happening. And one more note before I carry on. I talked to my buddy Shannon today, Shannon Carter, and do you remember she's been working on a book that I will start working on as soon as I'm finished formatting The Haunted Rug, The Mystic Carpet. And of course, we're working on that now. So I'm going to start working on Shannon's book here and there. I'm also working on Kirsten's book here and there, right? The Chetty Camp book. But Shannon was working on a book about, Shannon is a veteran, and she was working on a book about hooking to heal, right? A lot of the stuff that's in her head, a lot of memories that she has. Rug hooking has helped her find her way back to like her comfort zone, who she is, feeling like herself after some bad experiences. So she wanted to share her story through a series of patterns about being an ex-military person coming back into the um, what's the word? It's not layman. What is it when you're back in civilian, right? Back into the civilian world. And she includes in that book projects that we gave a shout out about a year ago, maybe even more, for people who have been using hooking to heal particular problems, health problems, suspenseful health problems, illnesses that are worrying and persistent. Right? I don't want to say any words that set us off. Um, I did a chapter on, I guess I did depression, right? That would be the obvious one for me. There's so many I could choose from personally. In fact, I might do another one, but my bag of insanity, right? My personal bag of insanity. But a lot of people did stuff that had to do with grief and healing and illness and things like that. There were other people who were veterans who did um, their own patterns that were, examples of their life stories. So I am working on that, but I won't be finished with that until it's like Christmas time because that's one of the ribbon candy bookshelf books that will come out on Christmas. If you're watching this video and you're thinking, I've had some stuff, I can see I'm glitching right now, and I'm not going to say that. I can relate to that. I've done some patterns that really reflect or speak to that situation, and it's helped. Hooking has helped me a lot. I think I might have something to contribute. Then definitely get in touch with me or Shannon and let us know because you definitely have time. I would say between now and like November to work on that. I can definitely get like right up until November. I can get your chapter in there if you want to include something or if you want help. I would definitely sit down and give you help over Zoom or if you're near me in person with getting a pattern ready. I could work on a pattern for you. If there's something that you want to contribute to this conversation, it's an important book. And Shannon has been working with an organization I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm not near my notes because I'm at my mom's in, I think, Tampa, Florida because I think it sounded like there's going to be a show there of some of her rugs, possibly others. So that's coming up. She's starting to sort of advertise the project in the book. So I will be working on the cover for her this weekend, even though we are far from being done with that book. So absolutely you can jump in. And she's got other leads in other places in other parts of the countries, like she mentioned Nashville. So she's working really hard on, the book, and she's still open to people contributing, but she's also working really hard on shows and events that will draw people's attention to the idea that we already know because we're already hookers, something that people learned after the First and Second World War, that you can convalesce, you can sit and heal and hook, and it will help things along. The repetition of the movement, the loop, loop after loop, that sort of quiet, calculated, measured action that keeps your hands busy while your head is working stuff out, right? We know the sort of mental health benefits to hooking, but not everybody does. So this project, I hope, will really bring new people to the craft for that reason, as it did 100 years ago and 80 years ago after the First World War. So be thinking that that might be something you want to do and certainly get in touch if you feel like it is. Hunters and gatherers think that way. Totally meant. Okay, wait a minute. I missed some of these comments. I love the commiserating. Cheers from Las Vegas, Lar and Jade. Great to see you. Welcome back. Great to see you. Happy Friday to you too. And Catherine, totally a man thing. I live with one of these types. That is the feedback this only happened last night, but that is the feedback I've gotten so far from my friends at church today. They were like, "Yep, this is the way." So that is really funny. In fact, I'll tell one more quick story and then I'll move on. One of my friends at church, Evan, she's always there working on the garden. She volunteers all the time, like I do, so she's in and out constantly for different reasons. And she said her husband is the same thing, as mine, with like it takes a real emergency to get any movement on any projects, right? It's just a thing. And she said she was so irritated, this was years ago, about the wallpaper. And she kept saying, we really need to like set aside a weekend to take the wallpaper down and either paint or put new wallpaper up because it was looking super shabby and it was starting to peel. And she said this conversation went on for like 2 years. Like it just kept going and going and going. Old wallpaper, and she got so frustrated and so sick and exhausted from talking about it and not having any sort of getting any traction with it, that she said she was walking down the stairs one day and there was a piece of wallpaper that was starting to peel, and she just took it and yanked it down, and it just made this huge rip. And she said that was the catalyst. He then had to take it seriously. We needed to get the wallpaper down, and he did. But sometimes it different people, different partners, different ways, right? I don't know if that would work for me, because my husband could literally live in the center of a dump site, or like some kind of an Armageddon, like science fiction landscape, and be perfectly comfortable indefinitely, like possibly forever. So that would not work for me. And fighting doesn't work, and yelling doesn't work. It takes like the water actually shutting off to work. So until I think of something else, right? So let's see. Melissa says, "Yep," and Diane says, "Hunters and gatherers think that way." Yeah, emergency situations that are stressful and expensive, right? Haunts, great to see you. Haunts, no, wait a minute. Haunts, that is Lar. Okay, good. Not something different. I love that. And it's perfect for you to do a Halloween thing, isn't it? Enjoy, great to see you. Happy Friday. Welcome back. It's great to see everybody. So that's our business for today. Oh, one more exciting thing. That's our business. Think about Magpie coming up for fall. And I do need to set a date that we talk about Magpie. Maybe let's talk a little bit about ideas for contributions, regular features, and things that somebody might want to kick in, whether you're a person who's like, you know what, I'm going to do for the next year, the next calendar year, the next issues, I'm going to do an interview with someone that does rug hooking, whether it's someone from my guild or an old friend, and I'll give you a 2-page article for every issue for the next. That's only 4 times a year, right? That would be like 8 pages. If you think like, oh, I could do something like that, let's talk about it. Let's brainstorm a little bit after we look at Magpie Times during the Monday episode of Coffee Time at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We can talk a little bit about it then, and then set kind of splinter off a date where we can talk about it more and get into some detail. Sandy, great to see you. Sandy, I meant to ask you, I saw on my order list that you had ordered one of the um, Mousehole Farms, and I felt like I had sent it before I went to Cape Cod. Did you get it, or did I dream that I sent it? Because if not, I'm going to send it like tomorrow. But I felt like I did send it, and I meant to write to you today. One other thing I want to tell you about, and then we're going to get down to looking at some slides. Let me just wet my whistle. Kind of exciting news, right? We had a Tigger meeting the other day, me and the Tigger girls, and we were, of course, thinking forward, because I think we're going to put the Tigger tickets for sale right at the new year, like this coming new year. So we are back and forth with lots of teachers, and all of that is getting cemented. We have a bunch of vendors who put in applications. Still tons of room for vendors, right? If anyone's like thinking, maybe I will do that, you get to vend for one evening. That's like the sort of VIP evening the night before. There's a lot of things happening on every evening, like ghost walks and taste of the town stuff. It's just like it's not like drowning in events. Like I feel sometimes at these kinds of things, it's not that, but there is something fun every night for us to do that everybody can do, or we can split off and have choices of things on different nights. It's all coming together so well. Um, so there's still room for vendors if you're thinking, oh, I thought it was just like one day I get to sell. Because at the last Tigger, it was the last day, and most people had already left when the vendors came out. And it was like 4 people, in the basement. It wasn't like a big deal. For this Tigger, it's the night before on like a Tuesday or something, because this Tigger goes Sunday night to the Friday. This is a longer Tigger than most, right? And there's lots more options in there, and there's lots more free time in the Hooking Harbor, right? Nautical theme for us to just hang out and do stuff together, and for people to take so many things. We'll talk about that another time, but lots of good things going on without getting crazy. Nobody's going to get crazy, right? We're all going to, it's very well paced. So there is still room for vendors if you think, oh, well, 2 full days and a night before is worth me schlepping my stuff. I can identify with that. Um, then definitely make sure I know, or one of us knows. And um I got all so far. Okay, I thought so. Just ordered June. Okay, great. I thought so. The old one wasn't struck from the list, so I thought that was. I'm not going to say anything else about my husband, but I thought that might be another oversight. So excellent. And Diane says, I left a winter magpie idea. Oh, in your Fancy Fibers Mouse Hole Farm video. Oh my gosh, I'll have to look for that. Thank you so much. Great. That's fantastic. So Tigger, I just want to tell you a couple of things really fast because we had this meeting and I got all jazzed up. We were all excited. So it's in Newport starting on October 31st, Halloween next year. And we start that night, the event in Newport, Rhode Island. It's a Sunday night. Every night there is something, right? Something to do, whether it's like an optional whatever, or it's something extra. That we don't have something planned every night because that would be exhausting. But the first night is an everybody thing that is included. It's a Halloween party. And we're going to be throwing out a bunch of accessories for you, backets included. There's not a huge emphasis on backets because we just did backets, but other accessories like purse, mask, like masquerade mask kind of thing, um, fascinator, Victorian fascinator hat. We're about to throw out some patterns to you with different teachers saying, hey, if you want to make a fascinator to wear to the party, or if you want to have a mask on a stick kind of thing to wear to the party, the first night is a party, and I'm like the host of that party. So it's kind of like first night, I'm hosting that. There's going to be all kinds of fun things going on. It's like there's food, in the church building that's behind. It's a separate building that's like from the mid 1800s, beautiful sort of haunted feeling little church. We're going to have a bunch of Halloween and haunted rug. There'll be the Mystic Carpet book will be up, and then next year's Halloween book will be up too, which will be based on tarot cards. It is not about spookiness. It is not about being Wiccan. It is not about witchiness. It is about the original idea of tarot, which was actually a game. It was nothing to do with fortune telling, but it does make you think about where you are in this world and what maybe the signs around you are telling you. It's not for everybody, but I definitely love talking about tarot and talking about ideas that come from all of those 78 cards. So there'll also be an exhibit on that. A tarot book will come out in 2027. You'll hear all about that later, in months from now. So there'll be a lot of fun things to do on Halloween night. And there's a hooker coming, a very well-known hooker. I'm never going to remember her name because I haven't met her yet. From the group in the middle of the country, Dee Kelleher's group, the Wilmingtons, who does tarot cards and she does fun stuff like that. And she's coming to do like readings and stuff. If you're into that, right? I'm not into that, but I think it's fun for people who are into that. There's lots of other things to do on that party night every night. Like that fits my personality, having a Halloween party. We're trying to get a ghost walk going too, like multiple, because there's a lot of people that would fit really well on that night. But like on Rebecca's time, Rebecca White Martin, she's coming next month, so she'll be with us again. She's a bit more like buttoned up than I am, right? In more ways than one, right? She's just a bit more traditional than I am, which is one of the reasons we are such close friends. But opposites attract, right? But she's for her sort of segment that she hosts, she's hosting a tea party, and so it'll be more, like pinky out, drinking your tea. It'll be that her hosting that is a perfect fit. We're all doing different stuff. But the main thing I want to tell you about Tigger is that the rooms are not for sale yet, right? That we blocked everything off and we bought out the Viking Hotel. But oh, hey, great to see you, Brittany. Great to see you. Oh, I'm so happy you're there. Welcome. We are always here. We try to always be here on Fridays and Mondays. Fantastic. Great to see you. I am doing content in just a minute. I'm just doing all the business first. The main thing I want to tell you, because the main thing that people ask when they say, well, how expensive is Tigger going to be? Tigger there's going to be a price. You have to join Tigger to go to Tigger. And if you already joined Tigger, we've already had a bunch of classes, free patterns out there. There's way more coming, right? We are only just scratching the surface. There's way more coming, but to get that content, you have to be a Tigger member, right? It's for Tigger members. And you being a Tigger member is how we get money to pay for the hotel, right? To do the buyout, which I've already done. We already gathered money and inherited enough money to do the buyout so we can have this event. We also are going to have a lot of things online for people who cannot travel or don't, want to come to the US. And I get that too. Believe me, I get that. So there's going to be a lot of options by the time we hit Halloween of next year. But the main thing is that people are like, so how much is it going to cost? It will cost money to come to the conference because the conference is your food too, right? The room you have to get separately, whether you get it at the Viking, the inn or not, is up to you, right? Some people will want to go for like the Motel 8 totally your choice, or bed and breakfast, or something up the street. But there are hundreds of hotels and bed and breakfasts and Airbnbs that are right in the center of Newport. I hope that you stay at the Viking. And the thing about the Viking is that this is really exciting. If you looked it up and thought, oh, I definitely can't go because it's super expensive, it is super expensive. But you know what? We negotiated a deal, right? This is what we've been doing for the past 2 years. I don't want to glitch right now. We negotiated a deal, and the rooms are all like 160 something, right? For us, that Tigger week, they're like it's like 169, something like that. That is not possible at this hotel. This hotel is like 400, 600, 1,000 in the in season. And I made this deal and signed this contract with them last year, maybe even a year and a half ago. And they have renovated the hotel. They're renovating it now. They renovated all of the bedrooms. And this hotel that is historic, it goes back to the Gilded Age. It is like an 1890s hotel on the same street as the mansions, super convenient to water, to all colonial houses, to visiting all of the mansions. I can see I'm glitching. Makes me angry because there's nothing else open. Um, yeah, it's like 160 something room rate we got. So that's the room rate. We are still putting together the conference rate because, of course, we're like, are we like we're feeding people breakfast every day, but how many lunches are we including? How many dinners are we including? Figuring all that out. And that money also goes toward buying out the whole hotel. So we have all of the conference rooms, all of the small rooms for sitting and hooking with your friends. So there is a conference fee. In the past, at past Tiggers, like this last Tigger, I think it was like 500 or 550. We're looking for something that's not that high. We're looking for something that's nowhere near that high. But remember, it's extra time. Other ones have been basically 3 days, well, 3 nights, 4 days. Ours is like Sunday to Friday. So ours is longer, but we're still trying to keep the main price lower and feed you as much as possible, right? So we're figuring all of that out. And we do have unique content at Tigger. So one of the things that's coming up right now is me and Colleen Tiefenthal of Beech Nut Studio. We're doing two pennant designs for Tigger, like a pennant flag. Mine is also adaptable as a square, so you don't have to do a pennant. But we're going to put out a series of pennants like through the holidays. This is like a celebrating summer and the 250th anniversary. So I did like a revolutionary design, completely different. This is unique for Tigger, and we'll be doing a hook in with that design. Colleen will be offering. We're co-hosting a different design on that day that's coming up. I forget what the date is, but I'll shoot it out to you as soon as possible. It's coming up like next month. We're going to do like we're co-hosting a hook-in. We've had other hook-ins and other interview dates and stuff. So that's coming up. And then next month, I'm also doing a live Zoom and for people to join in with Diane Tobias, who will be one of the with the Stretch Velvet, who will be one of the vendors for the event. I'll be doing a show, like a live thing with her, so we can look at how to hook with Velvet, all of that, ask her questions, see what her products are, and how you use Velvet in your hooking. Most exciting of all, I have to say, is also coming up next month. I will be doing a live thing, Tigger only, right? So this is another good reason to join Tigger because it's 99 for 3 years, but you get all of the past Tigger stuff and all of the future Tigger stuff. An interview with three generations, Dion Fitzpatrick, her sister Sharon Perry, right? And Haley Perry of Loop by Loop, who's my good friend. I also know Sharon, her mom, quite well. So Haley, her mom Sharon, and Dion Fitzpatrick, who of course you know because she's like the most famous rug hooker of all time. We're going to do a live event where I will be talking to them about having like three hookers in one family, and they've all been really busy. Obviously, Dion Fitzpatrick's been very busy with her business, and Haley's very busy with Loop by Loop, and Dion is in Canada, and Sharon, the mom, immigrated to the U.S., and of course she had Haley here, so they're both in Rhode Island. But Sharon's been a very busy rug hooker and a very visible rug hooker her whole life too. So I think that's going to be really exciting talking to three family members who have always been hookers, and two of them are very, very well known, and I would venture to say that one of them is like extremely famous, right? Dion Fitzpatrick. So really excited to have that coming up too. There's a lot of stuff coming up on the calendar. I want to get on with the show, but there's a lot of stuff coming up on the calendar, the Tigger calendar and the Ribbon Candy Hooking calendar. So stay tuned for all of that, but support. Right, support, because I'm just going to put it out there. Rug Hooking Magazine isn't a magazine anymore. I can see the upset online about that because I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it wasn't handled exactly right. People did not know that this was happening and they weren't getting the magazine anymore. I got to admit, I love everybody over there, but it could have been done better. Got to admit. So we really have to be there for, we're hanging on by a thread these days, right? Be there for Magpie, be there for this brand, be there for other people's brand, be there for the only International Rug Cooking Guild, Tigger, be there for your local ATHA, be there, show up for stuff and be there. Because man, it doesn't feel like it's going in the right direction sometimes. Let's go. Let me take one more sip and let's look at some beautiful rugs and talk about, oh, it's getting warm fast. I might open that window if I hear a storm coming because it probably means a breeze will. Oh, it doesn't open. All right. You know what I'm going to do? Let me just get up and open that door. Joss has got the door shut 'cause she's doing God knows what in there. Let me just open that door. Hey, babe. Oh, can you open this, please? Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah, open it. And I want you to open the shade in the window because it's getting to be like I'm gonna expire. I need that breeze coming through. So let's look at some of these beautiful rugs that are available right now on eBay, available as of last night. And let's talk about what they are, what's good about them, what's back. By the way, Leah, if I just noticed, Leah, if you are on from Canada, thank you to your daughter, to you and your daughter, Violet, who made me these beautiful earrings and a bunch of others. They said they have a brand called Glitter Jewelry in Canada and it's beautiful. It's actually more colorful than it looks. This design was called Lavender Peaks. And Leah and Violet sent me a whole bunch of earrings to wear on the show. And I'm so grateful because they're so pretty. Leah, thank you so much. And Violet, sweetheart, I'm sending so much love to you. You are such a great artist. These are beautiful and I treasure them. And all of the other ones that you picked out for me, you're going to see me wearing them all the time. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to come over here and let's look at the first and talk about what we think. Let's go over the basics first, okay? So, and tell me if I'm glitching terribly because I'm off camera now. So, this is a listing that's up on eBay now and it's up under the title Vintage American Hooked Rug, 6 foot by 7 foot. So this is bigger than me, like in every direction. It looks different than that, doesn't it? Doesn't it look much longer? Because 6 foot by 7 foot, I wonder if this is a bit of a stretched photo, when you use kind of a weird lens. Anyway, it says 6 foot by 7 foot. And this vendor has a lot of good feedback, this seller. Unique colors, this is all in the title red, lavender, cream, abstract. We could add some more things to that. What could you add to that in the thread here? This is being sold by Jewel Rugs Collection. That's the name of the seller on eBay. So it says it's from the 1950s. It might be from the 1950s. I wouldn't be surprised if it was from the 30s, 40s, but it might be from the 50s. That is close enough, right? This rug has 41 watchers, and that surprises me, not because it's not a stunning large rug, right, that you probably could put down on the floor, but because this rug is listed for $2,350. You can probably tell by the way that I said that number that I think it's a lot. Now, do I think that's a lot for hundreds of hours of work and infinite material? No, of course I don't. It's just at this moment, that's not really the price point for this kind of rug, right? We don't know who the maker is. We don't have any provenance on this rug. It just seems a bit, it's shooting a bit high, right? Um, I'm not going to value it because I can't see it. I'm going to show you more photos of it. I can't see it in person. What I will say is this is stunning, right? This is stunning. This is large and it's unique in my mind for several reasons. I don't think that this is a rug that a single person made. I think this is probably the kind of a rug from the early 20th century that was commissioned at some kind of a shop, or I think it was a group of people who made it and sold it, and they probably already had a commission for it, right? There's a whole category of rugs, very hard to research. Little shops, cottage, businesses, people work, having their friends over, working on a rug, saying, well, if there's 9 of us working on it around a frame in the kitchen, we can get it done a lot quicker. Diane says this has a Baltimore quilt feel in a way. Flower shapes, absolutely. It does. It has those are the Baltimore album flowers for sure. That's like the classic. Good call. And Diane also says center square is odd, in my opinion. I would have done a flower. It is odd. And so let's talk about that because the center square is what we would call marble cake. Let's have a walk around this rug first. Here's a little bit of a closer up view of the square. When we use browns together in a hit or miss fashion, just brown upon brown, ever since the era 1920s of Mercedes and James Hutchinson, that kind of fill has been referred to informally and sort of comically as a marble cake fill. Looks like a piece of marble toast or pumpernickel toast or something like that, right? It's a bunch of browns. It is a little bit out of place here because the theme of this rug seems to me to be, aren't I cheerful? Aren't I making you happy to look at me? And then we have that ploop of brown in the center. I agree. I think it's a bit out of place. The thing I like about it is it brings me back to the earlier days of rug hooking, right? Like the 19th century, seeing shapes like this and fills, marble cake fills that were done out of necessity because someone had a lot of brown clothes, right? Their working class people had a lot of brown clothes that stains didn't show up on. So they would want to use that brown. But it does feel out of place in a rug that is otherwise literally bending over backwards to make us happy and to make us feel cheerful. All of these sort of poppy shapes. Let me see if I have one more. Yep, I think this is the last one for this. You can see it's a hooked rug, right? There's no backing on it, there's no glue on it. Something we can tell by looking at this photo is it's in great condition. It doesn't look like it's had hardly any sun damage, right? Like discoloration or fading, natural fading from dye colors, whether they're natural colors or they're synthetics, chemical colors. It really hasn't faded, but it has bled. Did you notice that in the last one? I feel like this one on the top left, I see a little bit of bleed. It's like maybe the shot is from the seller is out of focus, but I don't think so. I think I see a little bit of bleed in general in this rug. What does it have going for it? It's a whopper. Another thing, the colors are cheerful for the most part. I agree. I think that brown is out of place. I would have preferred to see like a little ring of flowers or I don't know, even the year with like a pink background or a blue background. I would have preferred that. Um, any kind of pretty much anything, even like a checkerboard or a repeat or a continuation of the diamonds. I also feel, maybe I'm stretching, but does it maybe feel like the scent like it's a garden and that's like earth or something? To me, it doesn't, but I thought maybe as a stretch. Diane says, imagine some of the wreath leaves in the center to tie in the brown area. Yeah, that would do it, and it would feel more gardeny to me too, because I'd be thinking of that brown as earth, not as a hit or miss fill. Is it a gorgeous rug? It's a super gorgeous rug. Different shades of green, right? Different shades of red. There's a lot of red in this rug. They got really far. I see a little bit of hit or miss here and there, but for the most part, they really stretched whatever their source of the red was. Also the purple, also the blue, also the white. And there's much less green, but that's still a large amount of green. The stems are either olive brown or that kind of rusty orange. And, this is a large rug, so they needed a good amount of all of these colors. So, in terms of what it's worth, that's really hard because if I saw this at an antique store, even though it's 6 foot by 7 foot, I would be very surprised to see it for more. I hate to say it, but going around New England, right? If I'm honest, I go around a lot and I see a lot of rugs. I do see large rugs. I rarely see hooked rugs that are more than like $500. 495 seems to be the magic number for a large rug. And those tend to be more the Pearl McGowan style rug. Is this rug better? Right? Because I would bet my life that this is an original pattern. I think they drew this up and they showed it to the person who commissioned it, right? This is how I see this going down. You really can see the fade on the back, right? That lighter red really was should not have gotten wet. But in any case, I think this is an original design, so that boosts the price of it. So now I think we're looking at a rug that's more like maybe 750, 800. Now, let's see what we can add to that, to the scale in favor of the value of this rug. The colors are bonkers. These are really great colors. Now, if you were actually using this on the floor, which maybe you would be, um, maybe you have it like tucked away in a nook, right? And maybe there's a little table over the center of it, so that brown is less of a problem. Maybe you got a little coffee table or side table that's as cute as a button, and maybe it's right in the middle there, and it's in a low traffic area. Those colors are going to really help the value of it because they are cheerful and they are very different. So we've got an original design with really cheerful colors. I think we might be looking at a rug that I could in my mind stretch to like 950. I would never expect to find this rug in person for 1,000 or more. I think it's highly unlikely without knowing who the person is who made it, without even knowing what part of the country it's from, or having any guesses. Um, I think it's a stretch, right? Because at the end of the day, it's got a lot of great things going for it, and it's a fabulous, fun rug, but it is geometric, right? It's a fairly simple pattern. It's not some old farmhouse in Maine that you're gonna jump in your car and go search for, right? It's a mission and a rug. It's a geometric, and traditionally okay, it's a geometric slash floral, but predominantly for me it's a geometric. Is it an unusual one? It's super unusual. Like think about doing this with your rugs, right? If you're ever at a loss for a border, this is a cool border. This gets you far. You can go a long way with a border this size with sort of subway tiles or little square tiles like this. And then the flowers fit in, right? That's clever and it's working great. I think a lot of us agree that our problem here is that center. Can we do something better with the center? Can we elevate the interest of this rug by doing something a little bit different with the center? I wouldn't remove this center because it's the OG, the original, but I'm not sure that it adds to the value of the rug. We'll see what happens. It has 41 watchers, but I bet you anything those watchers are waiting to see Pipe Dream if the rug ever drops to 650 or 750. That would be my guess because I think when it dropped to that, I still don't think at that price that it would be like an instant sell, but the chance would go through the roof that it would be an instant sell. I forgot to check how much this one was to ship. I forgot the first two to check that. I don't know if anyone's on eBay right now, but that would be another consideration because if it's another like 60 to ship, right? Because it's a large rug, or 100, it could even be 100 to ship. I don't know. I don't know. If I were the seller, I would have the price at maybe 850. And if someone sent me an offer for 650, I'd probably take it. And do I think it's worth more than that? Of course I do. But at the end of the day, not everybody is willing to put this on the floor, number one. And number two, not everybody has room for this on the wall. So you have to think about who your buyer is. This would be great on the wall, right behind a piece of furniture. Maybe you got a little hutch or something, and it's such a big rug that the best parts would still be showing. Maybe it's behind some kind of little writing desk, right? And part of it's cut off, but hey, it's still a great rug. Not a lot of people are going to put a 6 by 7 foot rug on the wall. Not a lot of people have that kind of space. And we don't really know the condition from these photos because I've showed you the most close-up photos that are offered by the seller. So we don't really know the condition. It might be dirtier than it appears to be. Who knows? So I don't know. Always feel free to put your ideas. My opinions don't mean anything because there might be a seller out there who's going to buy it tonight for 2,350. And and honestly, congratulations to them because they found a rug that they loved and they were happy to pay for it, right? It keeps the whole circle of life going on with us rug hookers. So this next rug is also, Joss, keep it open, please, or at least a little bit open, right? Joss, you can also go to the basement, honey. This next rug is by the same seller, Jewel Rugs. This is from, hey, hey. Oh, you want to say hi on camera? Yeah, I'll say bye here. Okay, bye, baby. I love you. Love you. I love you, sweetheart. This is also by Jewel Rugs. This is called Vintage American hooked rug, 3 foot by 6 foot. This is 1940s. I'd go for this. She shut the door, right? This is like my kids have the shortest, shortest memory, whatever. Thank you. Did you remember to keep it open?
It closed on itself.
Oh, okay. Just put a doorstop there, like a sock or whatever, a shoe, slipper. Yeah. So sorry. This one is 1940s. This one has 18 watchers as opposed to 41. Vintage American hooked rug, 3 foot by 6 foot, jewel rugs, 1940s, um, 750. So now, hey, this one is more of a McGowan style rug or heirloom or Mrs. David, Mrs. Harry David, right? One of those early to middle 20th century designers. It's one of those. So it's going to be a commercial pattern. So the value, is a little bit less unless you collect one of these designers and you recognize it and you say, "Oh, I've got this. I've got a bunch of other Mrs. Harry Davids. I'm gonna go for them." Um, whatever you collect has more value to you. So 750. Let's talk about the 750. But first, let's look at the rug closer up. Now, the last rug was a geometric, and the very nature of it had a rug. Am I glitching really bad? Had more of a rag rug feel to it. And this one has more of a McGowan feel that's saying, okay, pick me out from a catalog, buy the machine, cut your strips to a number 2 or a number 3, right? Make the angel hair pasta, hook me up, and put me down on the floor as a rug. I want to look like a rug that looks like it was purchased from a department store, right? So this is this era of rug. This is what we're going for. The one before was a bit more like rag rug, arts and crafts, one of a kind, right? Had sort of a more bohemian feel to it. This one is something different. This one wants to look like a manufactured rug. Look at, I did it so well. I hooked it so well. You thought I bought it from a department store. Okay. We're coming from two different places, right? Two different faucets. So these rugs will, by definition, be a lot thinner, right? Someone is probably, if they're doing the whole deal, they're probably cutting their strips with a cutter because that goes hand in hand with this era of rug. Whereas the last one, I wouldn't be surprised if they were doing it with scissors or some kind of a rotary or something like that. This, I think, is going to be, let's look at it closer up, but I think this is going to be more of a number 2, number 3 cut, McGowan era, cut in a machine, fine. And it is because you see all that fine shading. We're really benefiting from this beautiful fine shading. It's very well done. Very pretty flowers, very pretty scrolls. We've got like the top two, right, things that we expect to see in this era of rug, looking super lovely. But you know that these rugs are in burlap and you know that these rugs are paper thin. And I would never suggest or recommend putting one of these rugs on the floor. They are fragile at this point. So on the wall, yes, 3 foot by 6 foot. Maybe you can hang it like the stairwell or something like that, be great. Or maybe over a table or something like that, or in a very low traffic area because it's in great shape. Maybe. But yeah, this is a fine rug. This is a rug that we recognize from this era. You can see the person who hooked it. It's very good at fine shading, very good at scrolls. Look at the pretty sort of reddish orange, tomato red scrolls. Look at that soft orangey russet shading around the forest green scrolls. Beautifully done. You can see more than one color of black in the background because you can see the color change over the years, right? Some of the last parts that were hooked, the colors that ran out were hooked with something that was cut up that was black and it faded into a different color. But the colors in this piece are spectacular. They really are so beautiful. It's a gorgeous piece. The whole nature is controlled, organic but controlled. Yeah, that is the sort of oxymoron. That is the imagine some the sort of punchline to this era of rug is, in a way it's creative, right? In a way it's creative in the same way the paint by number, which came in the year 1950, in the same way that paint by number is creative. But it's creative to a limit because the success of this era of rug and this kind of design depends completely on how well and how closely you execute it according to the way that is intended, that the pattern has intended. using colors that are recommended, using the sort of level of contrast, color contrast that is recommended, using a cut, a width of strip that is recommended, finishing your edges in the way that would be currently recommended. For rugs of this era, it's more recommended that you tuck under and the hooking goes right to the edge. This one has a tape edge on it, which is not the height of perfection for this era, which is unusual because that might be a regional reference or something like that. Let me see if I have one more. Yep, I have one more that shows the back as well. So you can see this is glorious hooking. This is beautiful hooking. And for people who love rugs, just going to take a sip of water, who love rugs from this era, this could be for you. So 750, that's a big price tag. Guess what? I found the same seller on Etsy, and she's selling the same rug for 450. So if you fell in love with this rug, I should have said this first. I hope you didn't buy it for 750 on eBay just now because it's available on Etsy for 450. So the kind of scaling of discount that I was describing with that last rug, where I said if I were to list it for 850, I would take 650. This seller is doing the same thing. So make sure that if you are shopping for either of these rugs, that you also check Etsy. Many of these sellers cross post, and yeah, the prices can be quite different. So this is not exactly the same rug, but if you notice, it is the same pattern. This is a this is a rug that came up in a search I did with Google Lens that says that this rug was once on eBay, not anymore. And it doesn't have any more information. I don't know when it was on or what it sold for or if it ever did. But what we were looking at was the runner version, the 3x6 version of this pattern. This is like the welcome mat version or the threshold version, right? The hearth rug version. So I don't know what size this was. I only found the photo, but it is exactly the same pattern done in quite different colors. Interesting, right? So, and Google Lens is a great tool if you've got that on your phone. This one I feel like we looked at before. I just want to look at it briefly together because, I am loving the rugs that Jewel Rugs collection is offering on eBay and apparently on Etsy as well. This is obviously a very legit seller. She's putting up lots of beautiful photos and doing a very good job of describing the rug with photos. The prices, to my taste, are a little bit overshooting, right? Very much on the high side. All the same, a great seller who's doing a great job and obviously keeping these rugs safe and looking for the right person to match them. So there are other rugs on eBay that are a different price range where there are sellers also doing a great job. For example, I know we've looked at this rug before because I think it's absolutely beautiful. The title of this rug on eBay is Early Dramatic Antique Handmade Paisley Design Hooked Rug, 66 inches by 29 inches. This is a really big rug too. This is sold by Dord, DORD dash US, hyphen US 2014. Early Dramatic Antique Handmade Paisley Designed Hooked Rug 66x29. And this seller writes in the description, this stunning rug came from the collection slash estate of John Long, well known for decades, a well known for decades high end Virginia Americana and folk art dealer who passed away in 2023. This unusual paisley pattern is very tightly hooked in black, browns, grays, and mauves. Measures 66 by 29. The condition is good with scattered spots of loss and overall expected wear. Just so you know, expected wear is a blanket term, and all resellers and flippers know this. If you say expected wear, there are no returns, there is no recourse. This isn't a bad thing. It's just that resellers know that if you say expected wear, that is a loophole. If the words expected wear are there, don't think in the back of your mind, I might be able to return it if I don't like it because it's in worse condition than I thought. Expected wear is like an umbrella term and it's like watertight. So be careful with the expected wear. Expected wear as shown in photos, more visible on the back than in the front. I am guessing this is late 19th, early 20th century. I would say that's correct. The last 5 photos are of the back side. I'll show you in a second. Please examine the photos as they are an important part of the description and email me with any questions or additional photos. This seller, like no seller, right? This seller is doing a great job being very forthcoming with this great information, and she's posted tons of photos. I'm only going to show you a few. Super forthcoming with information. She's doing her best for sure. This rug is $95 plus 32 for shipping, and 32 is fair for shipping. This is a 6 foot rug, right? This, no, not 6 foot. It's 66 by 29. So 95 plus 32. I mean, that's fantastic. This is another large rug. This is absolutely stunning. This, for us, represents a little bit of an earlier period of rug hooking. Could put it down on the floor. This would go great over like a sideboard or something. It would have to be a big one, right? Or a table, right? Something like that. It could go on the wall. It could go over a fireplace. $99 plus 32 shipping. It's absolutely gorgeous. Let me see if I have, yeah, I must have. Oh, no, wait a minute. I guess I didn't show photos of the back. I'm sorry, but it's there for you. She's got tons and tons of photos. Let me come back over here because, she did a great job describing this rug and she's priced the rug ridiculously well. It's very fair. It's on the very low side. I think this is a late Victorian rug. It could be 1900s, right? But I think it's a Victorian rug. I think it's a 19 something rug. It's beautiful. I think this is an original pattern, so I think it has way more value than $95. She describes, she's not a rug hooker, and we know that because she says it's hooked in black, browns, grays, and mauves. It's probably not. It was probably all black in the background, maybe a little bit of very dark brown. Maybe the hooker over dyed something. The mauves were probably not mauve. They were probably red or maybe aubergine, but I doubt that they were mauve. Remember, mauve came in the Victorian period. Mauve was a brand new color. So you wouldn't buy an item of clothing or a blanket that was mauve and immediately put it up and make it into a blanket. So it was another color that's faded. You can see there is profound fading in this piece. This is also some of the best sort of patina, patina I've ever seen. You can see that this person, you can see the order that they hooked in, the sort of way that they hooked. It's almost like tree bark. It's absolutely a phenomenal rug for $95. It looks like it's in great shape. Okay, there's some areas of loss. Okay, right, for $95. I mean, when I look at this close up, you can see it looks great, and it looks even greater close up. Yeah, there's probably a little bit of loss here and there, but you know what? You can repair it. And if it's not a hole, and she doesn't mention any holes, she just mentions like loss, you can probably just pop in similar colors and you're never going to know. Or you can leave it as is. I think it's a remarkable rug for that money. And I'm just making the point that on eBay and on Etsy and on anywhere, there are rugs that are like more expensive for certain people, and there are other rugs. And sometimes just because a rug costs an arm and a leg, it doesn't mean that it is the best rug. You know how on antique shows they do good, better, best? It doesn't mean it's a better best. It just means that that seller wants more money for it, right? And who knows what the motivation is. Some sellers are like, well, I'll never sell that for under 2,000 because people will think it's not good because I didn't put a high enough price tag on that. There are buyers out there who think like that too. I'm not buying that because it's not expensive enough. Well, those are the people I can't stand in life. I gotta say, like, just, I already know that about myself. But at the same time, I have been a shopper long enough to know that there are a lot of deals out there, right? And just because you found something that you think it's worth, buying and selling is always about you thought it was worth something different than the person who's selling it. That's what buying and selling is. Unless it's like COVID or the apocalypse, or you're not going to go to a store and buy something that's 100 times more than you think it's worth. You're not going to do that, right? Even with antiques, it's very hard to do that unless you are a collector who has unlimited funds. It's very hard to do that. When we see something in a store, like an average person with an average budget, right? I would say I have kind of a lower end budget. You all probably have a higher budget than I would have. But you go in with that in mind, and I go in with my budget in mind, and I look at the rug, and I'm going to think to myself, "Oh, they're asking not $95 for that." Well, I mean, I think that's worth 495. I think that's worth 595. I do think this rug is worth I would say $4.95 and feel good about that. And maybe I'm not going to buy this rug because I really can't spend any money with the well and everything. But I do think it's worth it. I do think it's worth $4.95. I think it might be worth $5.95 at this moment. Maybe next month it's a different story. Maybe it's worth more. I don't think it'll be in our lifetimes worth less, right? Hope our lifetimes go on and on and on and on forever. But I can't see it being worth less than $4.95. So if I were seeing that rug in a store and I didn't have to just replace the rug and the well and the pump and everything else, um, I would say to myself, that's a good price. I think it's worth more, and I'm going to buy it, right? Because I feel good about the transaction because I think it's worth more. The person who priced it at that price doesn't think it's worth more. For whatever reason, that person thinks, I'll take 95 for that. They either don't know what hooked rugs cost or they don't know how long it takes to make one. They don't have sentimentality or nostalgia or any kind of reverence for this craft, right? It's not part of their life, it's not part of their family history. So to them, it doesn't have that value. Maybe they just had to replace a well, right? Or whatever. And they'd rather have the $95. So to them, it's worth it, right? So everything that you buy, probably even groceries, it's like, do I want the Stop and Shop brand, right? If that's if you stop, we usually shop at Aldi, or do I want the store brand, the CVS brand, or do I want the really expensive one? And we all answer differently because we have different budgets and we have different thoughts about that. But every time you buy something, you disagree with the seller about what it's worth. You maybe groceries is a bad example, but antiques for sure. You think you're getting a decent value, or you're a collector, you fell in love with it and you can't live without it and you're willing to pay more, although you know that that it's not worth as much as the seller is asking for it. So knowing that there are those both of those kinds of people out there on the two sort of extremes of shoppers, there are always sellers who will say $2,500 and sellers who will say $95, right? And it has to be that way. So that's the good news for those of you who don't have unlimited funds, right? So let me come over here and let's look at this. This to me was really different. I'm just going to take a sip. Now, do you recognize the designer of these? Sharon says our antique store will be closing. I'm going to go look at the hook drugs this weekend, see what I can find. Sharon, that's a good call. Because at that moment those rugs are not worth that much to the storekeeper because they're not keeping the store. So again, it's a transactional thing, isn't it? It sounds ruthless, but it's just the way life works, isn't it? It's a perfect time. It sounds very predatory, doesn't it? Like you're buzzard swooping in on the closing store, but that is how it works. And believe me, that seller does not want to have to store those rugs. It does not want to bring them to Goodwill. He'd rather get something for them, right? Does anybody recognize this rug? And I do because I have this not in this form. I have this as a huge oval rug. In fact, I think I have two. This is Priscilla Turner. Remember the company from Maine, from Turner Falls, Maine. Um, these were hand punched. They called them hand hooked, but they were actually hand punched. Men would use this is early, sort of early mid 20th century, and they closed in the 1980s, abruptly in the 1980s when the father died. These were rugs that the men would stand doing like an early form of tufting. They would stand to punch, and women would sit to punch. And for every rug that was made, no matter how big, one person worked on it because the owner did not like the way it looked when more than one person worked on it. He felt that the hooking just looked different. So only one person ever hooked one rug. Even they had rugs that were literally like 20 something feet, and it would be one person who made that rug. So this is a Priscilla Turner rug for sure. This is up on eBay and it's called 10, the number 10 antique primitive country handmade hook, wool, hooked, stair, treads, floral rug from the Hawkeye Antique Shop. So um, so this lot it's 10 treads. Let's talk about that more in a second. The price is $428 dollars and 75 cents plus 25 shipping. I think that's very fair for shipping. Let's talk about the price of the treads, the stair treads. So first, let me show you the rest of the listing. So this listing says, I was told that they were made by Priscilla Turner Rug Guild, Turner, Maine. It was not a guild, it was a company. Not sure though, but I am sure because I have this, right? And it's certainly Priscilla Turner. This was their most common or best-selling design. The brown border with the two rows of leafy scrolls, right? The green and then the pink, and then it went into the center with like this floral spray. This rug came in any size and any shape. And I did not know that it came for stairs either. So vintage antique set of 10 handmade hook wool hooked stair treads, floral rug. These came out of an estate in Massachusetts. They are each approximately 35 inches. Ooh, what? They're each approximately 35 inches. Wow, isn't that big for a stair? Is that big? 35 inches, that's almost a yard. Our stairs, turning around to look at my mom's stairs. Gosh, that seems really wide to me. What do you all think? Particularly for older houses. I mean, people who tend to put treads on stairs tend to be people with antique houses. They certainly don't have big stairs, right? Like no way. Okay, they are roughly 35 across by 9. That's in my mind that sounds big. But they are each handmade, so they can be a little bigger, a little smaller, but generally, as you can see from the photos, they do look pretty close. This is the cellar. They're all a matching set, so they probably were made out of the same rug initially. I see what they're getting at, that they think it's one runner that was cut up. That was my initial thought too. I think it has to be that. They are all done very well. If you look at the bottoms, I do want to mention that there are some light holes, and I think he means holes, and some stains, and what looks like maybe some dried paint spots. So they might need a little bit of TLC, but again, from the photos, if you have an old house and you're not picky with the cosmetics, then they can be used right out of the box. I cannot find anything like these for sale. I completely agree. Sold as a set of 10, do not expect mint condition. They are not very old. I would say that these are 1960s. And I would feel good about that. They could be 1970s. Um, they could be 1950s or 70s, right? Right in that window. My guess would be 60s. We know the company closed, I think, in the early 80s. So I don't think we can be that far along with them. But I think they're a little bit older than the seller thinks. Be sure to look at all the photos. Other than what I've mentioned above, there are no weird smells, some light debris because wool attracts that. But that's pretty much all of the information I can offer for them at this time. If you have any questions, please ask prior to bidding. Happy bidding and good luck. What a nice seller. Another amazing um, seller, right? Giving a lot of information. The seller is asking for, let's say, 430 plus 25 shipping. You know, I have to say, in my last house, I ordered linoleum treads for my stairs, and those were like 300 and something, and they immediately got dirty and need to be constantly washed. I completely agree. I think this was a runner that someone chopped up. And I think this is a good call. Um, Judy says, your stairs are 3 feet wide, aren't they? Are they one? Maybe. I'm looking at my mother's stairs because I'm sitting at the top of the stairs. Maybe. I mean, maybe that's right. Now, what are these? These are 35. Well, yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, maybe that works. It just seemed big to me, but no, you're right. That probably goes right across. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think this is probably a good size. Of course, older houses, the stairs are smaller, so this wouldn't be, I don't think, a good match for a really old house. But these aren't really old. These are 20th century, and it's so confusing when I think about it because I spoke to the daughter of the guy who owned Priscilla Turner Rugs, right? I should get back in touch with her one of these days. But we talked quite a bit, and I talked to her brother too, with his son. And we never talked about runners. I'm sorry, we never talked about treads or stairs. We talked about runners in different shapes, but never this. So to me, it's really odd as well. But are you seeing what I'm seeing and thinking? Could they have cut them up? So let's see if there's any clues on the back. So these are folded over nicely, I would say professionally. And I would also say there's a couple of clues here that make me think I have to, I'm second guessing myself. I no longer think that this was someone who cut up a runner. And you know why? Two reasons. Because of the finishing on the back, it's exactly the same as the Priscilla finishing, right? With a cotton like duck or tape, the white around the edges. And this is exactly the same glue that they put on the back of all of their rugs. All of their rugs have this glue. So if you're thinking, oh, if there is a little bit of paint on them, or I'm going to pull some out or rehook it, you're not going to rehook it because look at this glue. You're not going to be able to get in there. This is a done deal. So that's one of the clues. But my first clue, see if you can spot it too. See if you can tell what I'm thinking of. Something I'm looking at in this picture that says to me, no, this can't be a cut up runner. It can't be. I'm going to take a sip and you look for a second. And maybe you're typing, but this can't be a cut up runner because you can see on the sides that there's brown. So these are finished pieces, not, we didn't even need to look at the back. These are finished pieces. You can see they've hooked brown on the sides. If this was a cut up rug, it would still be white and they would have had to have folded under. That's not what this is, right? They finish off each of these rectangles and they finished it off with the brown. So these are complete, inclusive, of them unto themselves, right there. They are done. They are finished, right? They are finished in the brown on the sides and they are finished off with a little brown on the edges to match. So I don't think this is because you also could not cut this up like as if you were hooking the treads independently and say like I'm just going to put a little brown to finish it off so it ties in with the brown on the sides. If you cut this, you wouldn't have that extra material, right? It doesn't exist. So where did that row of brown come from? Is it impossible that whoever whoever produced these rugs pulled out some of the loops and hooked brown after that? Yes, exactly. Judy, I was exactly. It's not impossible, but there's also this is also not hooked in rows, right? So it would really it would be a thing to have to take all those loops out to get that brown row. And that doesn't make any sense to me. I think, yeah, I agree. I think that these were runners. This was a family business and they were very obliging. And I really think that somebody went in and said, look, I have got a big oval one, I've got a medium oval one. I could use some treads. And I think that they were probably really accommodating and said, okay, we'll do some treads for you. So for 400 and whatever, right? 430 is a great price for 10 treads. Can you tell? We know each other quite well at this point. Can you tell what I'm thinking now? Hang on. I just counted the stairs and my mom has 13. I think nowadays 13 is average, right? This is a newer home. I think for us, we have 11 in my 1960 house. 10 is rough. Does anybody here have 10 stairs? That's not a typical number. If you have a split, you might have 4 and 4. I'm sorry, 5 and 5. You might have 5 and 5 if you have a split. But if you don't have a split, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a staircase that is looking for 10. And are there any more? The seller is saying his or herself, there aren't any more. Do I think you would ever find any more between now and death? I really don't. I've never seen this before. So I mean, it would be up to the person, wouldn't it? You might have stairs with a landing that makes a turn. We had that in our last house. And maybe there's like 9 steps there and it turns, and then maybe I wouldn't put treads on the bottom too if I was determined to use these treads. But I think you'd be hard pressed. 10 is not a typical or a standard number for stairs in any houses that I've ever seen. I might be wrong about that. Sue's great to see you in Kansas. You're digging out from 115 mile an hour storm. Oh my God, that's crazy. It just comes flying across the flat plain areas, doesn't it? I mean, that's like, is that, do you say, is that part of the country what they used to say Dust Bowl, where the wind would just come whipping, right, and cause all kinds of tornadoes and stuff? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope everything's okay. I hope it's not too stressful out there. Happy to see you. Happy that you're there. Jessica, great to see you. Oh, that's okay. It's always great to see you. Hello to you too. Thank you so much. It is great to be back. I really miss being on the Cape, always. And I'll be back there later this summer. But it's also nice to be home, particularly now that I live nearby and I love our new house. And it's nice to be back here together. So, yeah. So, that's all I have to say about the treads is I think it's going to be a hard sell for the person because I think the number is the wrong number. I think 11 would work. One more tread would do it, right? A lot of stairs have 11, and it's still not most stairs, but a lot do. I think that's going to be like the thorn in the side for that seller. But what a beautiful job that seller did with showing us photos. There's a lot more photos than I shared with you, and describing the pieces to us and being super upfront. I like how this person says there's no weird smells, right? I like the tone, the conversational tone. Seems like a nice person. Oh no, oh no, what's going on here? Oh no, am I missing? Oh no, I'm missing a photo. Oh, shoot. You know what? Hang on a second. Let me see if I can fix this while we're live. Here, hang on just a second. It might be that you can see me, but I'm going to try to do something really quick. Let me see if I can do it. I think I've done this before. I use this in our thumbnail, but I want to show it to you here too. Let me see if I can do one of these doodlers. And oh, now I got to figure out which one it was. I think I know. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Oh, I think I got it. Let me see if this works. Be great if it did. I'm just stretching it out. Hey, can you see that? Let me move it over here. I just uploaded it while we were live, and hopefully you can see it. Let me know if it's a problem because I don't want to talk about something that you can't see. So this is another one that I pulled up on eBay again. And oh, Diane says we've had tornado outbreaks in Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa area lately. More tomorrow. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That is so stressful, isn't it? So stressful. That's not one of the words you want to hear in the news, is it? Um, yeah, let it keep us updated on everything, so we know that everybody's all the buddies are good. So this is called Folk Art Primitive Wool on Burlap Hooked Table Mat Wall Art Winter Cabin Woods. And this is sold by somebody called Everyday and Yesterday. How nice is that? Everyday and Yesterday. Oh, I love that. It's really sweet. Do you like that, Mom? Every day and yesterday, there's something very poetic. She likes that too. And so this piece is $97 plus $10 shipping. So, it's 110. Okay. So let's talk about it. First I want to say Sue says my old house had two stairs before the staircase, which is eight stairs, and then turned to get on two stairs. So Sue's that house could have handled these. One of the turns would have been missing, but you could have marked it off, right? And you could have made the 10 work. Hey Ted. He's not upstairs. Maybe he comes and says hi later. So, the reason that I wanted to show this one, a couple of reasons. The season is wrong, I know, but sorry about that. But when I first looked at this, I thought that this was Chetty Camp because we're doing so much with Chetty Camp lately. It's not Chetty Camp, and you can see that clearly because you can see the scale of it. Chetty Camp is much finer, one ply or two ply. This is not. This is yarn, right? And we can tell by the subject, this is Canadian. We have seen so many over the course of the 20th century, there were so many Canadian artists who did landscapes in snow is very French thing and a very souvenir thing, right? Famous artists. And I've done some episodes on some of these guys. They were all guys. But this kind of bled over into the hooked rug market because they coincided time-wise. And a lot of rug hooking studios, artists, communities, guilds, very money conscious, thinking about what kind of profit they could turn over, took to hooking these subjects of Canadian villages under the snow, right? As Robert Frost would say, just their eyes were above the snow, right? Just the windows, just the eyes are above the snow, but they're buried in snow. And these were great souvenirs for the 20th century tourist market. This is not a Chetty camp, but it is Canadian. And we know that Canadians have a strong preference for hooking with yarn as opposed to hooking with wool strips, right? That is just a sort of cultural thing. A lot of Canadians hook because family members hooked, and those family members hooked with yarn. And with the exception of Grenfell, right? Most family members would hook with yarn, and it stayed that way, with exceptions, but few exceptions. So we're seeing this really pretty piece that's described as the seller folk art primitive wool on burlap hooked table mat. Oh, I already read that. I'm not gonna read that again. Pre-owned. There is a pulled loop in the upper right corner. You can see that the green on the tree, it's a pulled loop, which implies you could maybe pull it back through. It's kind of like a pistachio color green, right? This measures 12 inches by 9 inches. This is a small piece for $100, $110, right? With shipping. Let's say $100 because this the seller's shipping is $10. So that's a fair amount. Um, hey, just say you. Um, um, oh, I think I just saw, oh, I thought I just saw Ruth. Is the green breaking frame on purpose? Is the green breaking? No, that's the pulled loop. That's the little pulled loop. Oh, hi, Ruth. Good to see you. I saw you come and go for a second there. Great to see you. Yeah, no, that's just a pulled loop. And one of the, you tell me, what are some of the giveaways that tell us that this is a Canadian souvenir piece? If there's one main one, you tell me it. Or I'll accept any. So we know this is on burlap. The seller says it's on burlap. It's a very small piece, overall, a very nice piece. Is it going to sell for $100? To be honest, I don't think so. What does this piece have going for it that might get us there? Um, Oh, never mind. Ask que Oh, no, 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 that's okay. It was a great question. What this piece has going for it, I think, is the color. There's a lot of faded color, but there's also a lot of absent color, right? Because it's a snow scene. It might be that the sky was a different color in the past. I don't think that that matters that much because we're like buried in snow here in this subject. I do think there was more movement in the snow, like more definition, but I still see the little fence. I think the sort of device with this composition is that the cottages are buried with snow. So we are going to be looking at a lot of white. It's in pretty good condition. I think you can pull that green loop back through. The color in this piece is really exquisite, right? We can see a little tree over on the right, and it's got a lot of white snow on it. So at first it's like, what the heck is that? I think it's a tree that's buried in snow. Cute, because they've handled the very summery green tree, very Maud Lewis, right? This confusion of seasons between the two houses on the right. They've handled that. Ruth says, when do we get our Chetty Camp kits? That is a Kirsten question because although she's selling them through Ribbon Candy Hooking and it's a Ribbon Candy Hooking project, it is a Kirsten, she's putting together the kits. So I know she's putting them together now. But you would have to ask her specifically because I know she's putting 40 together at the same time and they're all different kits. But she will know the answer to that. I don't mean to sort of fob you off and not know, but I really don't know. But she will. She's not live tonight because she had kind of an emergency. She works at this animal charity and they're having an emergency with cats there. So she's not on live tonight, but she normally is. But Ruth, I'm sure if you write to her, she'll write you right back. So color for me makes this piece stand out as opposed to other pieces that are quite similar because we've got pinks and maroons and rose pinks and this really mint green, this soft cornflower blue. We've got the brick chimneys. The fact that the tree, the tree with the sky against it is a really light green, like a spring green. It's very weird to me. It's a weird choice. It gives me that Maud Lewis feeling that like they chose the wrong color or they didn't have the right color and they just went ahead. It's not an evergreen color, right? And if that tree is blooming in the season, same with a pistachio colored tree. If those trees are blooming in the season, they're evergreens and they're not going to be those colors. So that kind of incorrectness gives it some charm. And I like that for it. I think it's going to be I'm going to go back to the others of it because I had other views of it. Oh, good. That was good timing, right? Right, because that was the one right before. Um, I think it's going to be a hard sell at that price. These kinds of things are more like, honestly, 30, 40, 50 is kind of a stretch, because there's a lot of them out there. Now, you can see how pretty it is. And the reason I at first glance thought that it was, oh, thanks, Ruth, that I thought it was a Chetty Camp is because you can just get the feel from looking at it, even from a distance, that it's very sort of formulaic hooking, right? It's like little typewriter. Tit, 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 return, boop, 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 boop. Like someone's going across in a row. Same as with Chetty Camp, right? They're filling it in. Chetty Camp goes space by space, but you do get this very patterned background. You're getting this too. And I thought, maybe it's a Chetty Camp, but it's not. This is like bulky yarn or 3-ply yarn or something like that. So we even get a glimpse of the back of it in this listing. And you can see besides that one loop being pulled, there is a problem at the bottom. So depending on what you're going to do with it, you want to shore that up for sure. Even if you're putting it down on a table, that whole piece is coming out. So you want to fix that. And I think you can by just stitching on, a folded piece of burlap, right? If you just stitch a folded piece of burlap, the fold downward, the material's right there, right? So you haven't lost any material. You can hook it right back in. I have to say, I got to see. Oh, you can't see the plumes of smoke coming out of the chimney anymore. Look at the chimneys. You see there's a little yellow stripey, but when you come to the back, you can see the sky was way more light blue and there was that yellow, weird color for smoke coming out of it. Just the pink house in general is weird colors, isn't it? There's a lot of color loss, but there's also a lot of people who like to collect these Canadian souvenir pieces. Maybe you love Canada, maybe you are Canadian, maybe you're planning a trip to Canada, and it means something to you. They're so finely made. Look at the way that this person, just like Chetty Camp, look at the way this person kind of rolled the edge and tucked it under, and look at those little white stitches that are so perfect. It's now that I've taken 2 Chetty Camp classes with Betty Ann Cormier, or at least kind of watch them, and I get a feel for how they make their fills. This is a very similar fill to Chetty Camp, but it's not Chetty Camp weight, and this is on burlap. And Chetty Camp can be on burlap as well. This actually looks like linen, doesn't it? I mean, it's got to be burlap, but anyway, really cute piece. And it made me want to look for some other pieces that are similar to share with you. This is a really similar one. This one, the seller is MCC-6088, and this is Vintage Country Winter Scene Hooked Mat 9 by 13. Remember, the other one was 9 by 12, so this one is a little bit wider. Beautiful handmade. And this one also costs $90 with $8 shipping. So this one is a hair less expensive, but I can't help but think that this person looked at the other one with Google Lens, found it, and made this like a very similar price. The seller here writes, this vintage country winter scene hooked mat is a beautifully handmade piece measuring 9 by 13, made in the USA. I don't think it is made in the USA. This mat features a charming winter scene that captures the essence of country living. Made of wool and cotton. No, it's not. It's made of all wool yarn. This intricate design and attention to detail make it a unique and cozy addition to any home decor. I'm going to be rotten and say I think the person who wrote this is adorable, like a pretty young 20 something female is my impression. That would be my bet. Because this is someone who knows how to put words together, telling you that you need this piece for your, this unique and cozy piece for your addition to your home decor. It's like phrases that like now flippers are using. And I react badly to that kind of language because it's someone who's trying very hard and has written, to her credit or his credit, has written a lot about this piece, and that is creditable, right? That I'm going to recognize that as really, really well done. But this is a wool piece. This is wool yarn for sure, and this is a Canadian piece. So that part is incorrect, and I don't know where that's coming from. I would guess it's coming the fact that this person is saying made in the USA. They're probably thinking, well, a lot of American people like it when things say made in the USA, right? But this is not made in the USA. This is a Canadian scene. And it's certainly a souvenir piece. It's the same sort of size. It would have appeared at Flora's or one of these shops in Nova Scotia. This is made differently, right? Look at the back of this one. This person it was not a Chetty Camp hooker. This person might have been someone who did needlepoint and was switching to rug hooking, because when we looked at the back of the last piece, that looked like a Chetty Camp artist who switched over to doing something with heavier weight stuff. Maybe a different souvenir store said, maybe she brought some stuff to a different souvenir store and said, hey, do you want to buy any of this? In fact, Betty Ann yesterday told the most beautiful story during the class. Maybe it was yesterday. I think it was Wednesday, wasn't it? Yesterday's like a blackout because of the water thing. She told a beautiful story. I'll just paraphrase it because I loved it so much. She said, I'll get her to tell this story again for us, but she said, in a nutshell, that her mother, when she was growing up, she was just a little girl, like she was younger than Jocelyn. She would go with her mom to these souvenir stores. Her mom needed money desperately to get stuff for school. Like all of the money was spoken for. This is not a wealthy community. And her mom hooked because she desperately needed the money. And she would go with her mom and they would go to like the rug hooking store that sold the rugs to tourists. And the person would always keep them waiting, right? Obnoxious, just always keep them waiting. And then say, okay, come into the back room. So they'd be standing there like, Dickensian hobos, like on the doorstep, on the back doorstep, and they would go into a different room away from the customers, and her mom would lay out all of the her mom is still alive, would lay out all of these hooked pieces on the table, and the woman would say, I'll take that one, that one, that one. And she said some years she took quite a few, but some years she took hardly any. And the panic was just palpable because she knew that if the woman didn't take a ton of rugs, that she would not have supplies for school. She would not have clothing for school. She would not have notebooks for school, pens, utensils for school. She would not have supplies for school. She would have to go to school without things that she needed because that's what that money represented. And it was a story that I didn't know, right? For everything that I do know about Chetty Camp and Grenfell and all that, I don't know stories like that happened in living people's lifetimes. But I thought it was a beautiful story. It was such a moment in time. And now when I see pieces like this, I know for a fact that the person who made this piece and the person who made the last piece probably waited at the back door of a shop so that they weren't in the way of customers and was shown in with their heart pounding, hope, because they weren't doing it for fun, they were doing it for money, right? Betty Ann said none of these people were doing this for fun. This was not a passion thing. This was a God, I need money thing. So when we're looking at pieces like the last one and this one, that this represents that moment in time, right? Earlier in the 20th century, where someone needed the money and hoped that the souvenir store would give them something for this. So the last one made me think this is a hooker, this is a Chetty Camp hooker, but this one makes me think this is a needlepoint artist who's needs the money and knows that rug hooking might sell, and thinks I do needlepoint, right? Because this is not good looking hooking on the back. We don't care what our backs look like, but this doesn't look right, does it, to any hooker? Because this is like 3-ply. It's not super thick yarn. To me, this is a needlepoint artist who's figuring it out in the early stages and who did do a good job, you know. And I guess the fact that we're able to talk about it, this really is beautiful. $90, right? I guess the fact that we are able to talk about it because we know what we're talking about and we are charmed and seduced by hooked pieces, right? And we understand the lore and the history behind all of these pieces. It means more to us. So we would be the people who are way more likely to spend $90 on this. After hearing Betty Ann's story, I have to say, I'd be more tempted to spend $90 on this, right? I'm not going to, but knowing what this represents, I'd be more tempted to. And the fact that other kinds of fiber artists, like people who did specific kinds of hooking, this is a third and different one yet. I'll read you this one in a second. Knowing that this was kind of like a seasonal thing, going to the rug hooking store, asking for an appointment, and bringing the rugs to sell. Um, we have no idea the history behind these pieces, no. But we do know that these were designs that were copied again and again and again, that someone would draw out, right? I know this from Betty Ann, that if you would So this is a third one, right? And there's lots of these out there. They're hard to find. There's only 3 on eBay right now, but they are there in antique stores. The closer you come to New England, you will see them in antique stores. The further north you go, you see more and more because these are people who drove by automobile in the 20th century to Canada and brought them home as souvenirs. And that's why this one was found in the US and the person thought it was US made. It's definitely not. So what Betty Ann said was that what her mother did, which has to be what everyone did, same kind of MO, her mother would try to come up with rug ideas that she thought would be, the most likely to sell to tourists, most likely to make money. And so she would look at things that had sold the year before. And of course, winter scenes would sell, like these charming old villages covered, buried in snow. That's going to sell to a tourist. So for Betty Ann, she said her mother would draw them, and they would often be based on others. But she said her mother often repeated drawings just for speed. Betty Ann herself never repeats the same thing twice, but her mother would look at other designs or designs that she still had at home and try to copy them in different colors, right? She wouldn't give more than one color combo. She would want to do it in different colors because she'd be thinking, well, maybe the person will buy one with a mustard color border, one with a green border, and one with a black border. Oh, by the way, the answer to what I was asking before, how you can tell that these are Canadian pieces is because of these borders. This is like a classic Canadian souvenir shop thing, a border this size, right? That has like 5 rows of hooking. This is Chetty Camp, and this is traditional hooking. 5 rows of border. That's what they did, right? So definitely Canadian. This one is being sold by the Needlepoint Emporium. That's the online store, the eBay store. Handmade wool, hand hooked rug, shoe, bare feet. Okay, that's really strange. Now I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm sorry. I'll show you that one next. So I don't have text for this one. So I might have found this one somewhere else. You can Google Lens it if this is your favorite and you want to find it. I think I did. This I don't think is on eBay right now, but go ahead and check. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, take a photo of the screen. Google will figure it out for us. If I have another, I have some close-ups of it, so it might be on eBay, but why I don't have the info for it, I'm not sure. Sorry about that. Oh no, I do. I do. This is a vintage, vibrant, colored hooked rug, handmade, sold by KM James for yeah, yeah, it is on eBay. I'm sorry. This is $80 plus $20 shipping. This is not $20 to ship. So this person, all three of these people will get $100 for this. It's just broken up differently. I don't like to see $20 shipping on something that's the size of a, mug rug, but whatever. It's going to be 100 all in. And the text just said, "This is an awesome piece. Please see photos, great designs and colors." So very similar to the ones that we just saw. Really cute piece, same price point. Sorry, that was the last one I had for that. So all three of those are ones that you will find on eBay right now, and they're all about $100 or just over $100. So it depends on if that's where you're at, if they mean something to you. It is a category of collecting. And I don't mean that that makes them like more desirable. I just mean if you're thinking, who would ever pay 100 for that? It's because they're their own thing. Right. If you say to yourself, I only want to connect Canadian souvenir rugs with a border, then you're going to want to hunt these down and buy all three of them. So different things for different people, right? We all like to collect different things. So let me bring you to the next one. We'll probably get one more in tonight, and then I do have some more material for next week. This was a really different one too. So this is the one that's called Handmade Wool Hand Hooked Rug, Shoe Bare Feet. 32 by 21, backed, completed, matte, pre-owned. So that's just a weird kind of mashup of this person is not used to selling rugs, obviously, and is going for words that they think are going to work. So this is being sold by the Needlepoint Emporium. I'm going to tell you the price of this last because I think you're going to be really surprised. And it says a fun hand hooked rug of. I've got the wrong one again. Oh my God, I've got the wrong one again. I am so sorry to be so confusing tonight. So the third of the Canadian rugs I do not have on the information on my sheet. And I'm not sure if it's because it's not active or what. Sorry about that. So the vintage vibrant colored rug, KM James, $80 plus 20. That's this rug. I'm so sorry to be so confusing. Um, I'm confusing myself. So this just says, this is an awesome piece. Please see the photos. Great designs. So this makes more sense now. So this is $100. That's a great price for this rug because why? This is a beautiful rug. It's a checkerboard configuration. It's a geometric. It is also a hit or miss rug. It's done in super vibrant colors, cheerful, fun, could go down on the floor. Now it looks like it's in great shape, but we are not seeing in the checkerboard, we're not seeing flower in the alternating boxes. We are seeing like it is kind of a stylized flower, but it's not the kind of flower we usually see. It's way more geometric of a flower. So this is a really unusual rug. It makes me think, is it um I wish it had one more row on the right, you know what I mean? Just so it like, just so that the dark squares matched up on the right-hand side. I'd like it more if it was just one more row. That's my OCD talking there. But this is super colorful. It doesn't appear to be any fade. There doesn't seem to be any loss. I'm not a fan of putting rugs on the floor, but you could put this in a low traffic area again, right? This would work. It is doesn't say what size it is. It might in the description, but I think if it did, I would have written it down. It maybe it does. Don't take my word for it. Again, seller is KM James 4 all together. It is really cheerful and pretty. The brown is weird with the hit or miss, but I like the brown with the pink. I think this is a 1960s, 1970s rug. I'd say 1960s, right? Has that kind of color palette. That would be my guess. It's a cool looking rug. It's vibrant. It's fun. It looks like it's in great condition. On closer inspection, it's hooked with yarn. So we're learning something more about it. You're about to learn something more yet about it. I think $100 is a good price for this rug. I think if it sells for 70, that also sounds right to me. I'm looking further ahead in the picture, and I feel like I see a little bit of wool as well as yarn. So I'm thinking this is wool and yarn. Let's see if we can get any more clues. I can stretch this out a little bit. Um, I think that this rug, well, let's look at it a little bit closer up. Let's see. Hope the kids aren't being too loud right now. They're being sillies. I'm just going to make this as big as I can because the quality is there. So this is on burlap. And yeah, I thought for a second I thought that this was punched, but no, I think this is definitely hooked. And I do see yarn, but I also see multicolored stuff. It could be multicolored yarn, but I think there might be a few wool strips in here. If you see what I see, I think there's some wool strips in here. This person sewed this down. This is a good. I'm just going to tell them to be a little bit quiet. Hey, you guys, I'm doing a show right here. It's a little bit too loud. Yeah. Just for a few more minutes. It is a happy piece, and it is a very sweet piece. It's very colorful. We see hooked rugs like this in stores and stuff, or at least I do here. Sorry, and yeah, you're happy to see them. They're fun. They're cheerful. They make you smile. And this is a real utilitarian one too because it's in great shape. So I think that's a good deal for that rug. Like I said, if I were selling that rug, I'll do the next rug as the last rug. If I were selling that rug, you know, again, those are not the most valuable rugs. They're never, that's never going to be a valuable rug. She doesn't have a bad price on it for the condition it's in, but I wouldn't be surprised if it sold for 65 to 75 in the end, right? I wouldn't be surprised, particularly because you have to ship it. This is the rug I keep talking about by accident. We're finally here. This is by Needlepoint Emporium. And so now this makes sense. Handmade wool, hand hooked rug, shoe, bare feet. So the bare feet is the background pattern. Okay, now it makes sense. And shoes. 32 by 21, backed, completed, matte, pre-owned. So you're going to see what I mean in a minute because for a second, the title is so disjointed. I didn't quite understand what she was saying. And I thought, holy crap, I've never seen this rug. Is this like a commercial pattern? Or is this manufactured? Or did somebody make this? Is this like a McAdoo rug or something wacky? You know what I mean? Needlepoint Emporium. This rug costs $19.98 with $15 shipping. I think that's fantastic. It says a fun hand hooked rug of shoes and bare feet silhouettes. Finished size is approximately 32 and a half by 21 and a quarter. from a smoke-free home, hand-hooked with wool. This is all correct, right? Great. A great design of shoes in blue, green, purple, and red on a tan background with darker tan silhouettes of bare feet. Two exclamation points, right? And the super friendly tone to this, but she's right. So far, she's right with everything. Age is unknown. I'm going to say this rug is quite new. I would say this rug is 1990s. I don't think it's 1980s. I don't think we in the 80s we were still doing country stuff. In the 90s we started looking back and doing retro stuff and thinking it was funny. In the 90s and early 2000s. So I think this is probably a late 90s, early 2000s rug. It could be a 2010s rug too, right? We're still in that we love vintage mindset, so it could fit in there too. I'm going to show you the other photos of this. So let me see if there's anything else to say about this rug. No, I'm going to save my other stuff for another show. So I'm looking at this and thinking, oh my gosh, it looks like it's punched, right? Look at the way that the fill is in the background. Looks like it's punched. Oh my gosh, it's only $20. I wonder if this is like a unique pattern, or I mean, I know it's not like a Claire Murray or something like this, but is it a company that made this, or did somebody hook this? And I've just never seen the pattern. And so I'm looking at the photos and thinking, okay, it's hooked with yarn. I wonder if somebody punched this. Like it would make perfect sense if this was punched. Oh, I think somebody punched this. This is exciting. I'm probably going to buy this $20 rug. Love the colors. I love that there's a background fill. I see some little sort of differences in the height, and I think, oh, there's a good argument for either the person punched it or there's a cat in the house who is doing need onto the rug and pulling up the loops, right? And I'm thinking the latter. And I'm getting all excited, really excited. And then womp womp. It is totally a manufactured rug. I mean, yes. I mean, is it somebody punched it somewhere in the world, someone punched it, but it's a commercial design. It's put up by some company, I still think it's that kind of an age, but it has a lot less value. I would say it doesn't, it has a lot. So it is for $20. Come on, it's a great $20 rug. It's a fantastic $20 rug, and you can put this rug, I'm sorry, not this rug. Oh, I'm struggling with my fingers here. This rug, you can put this rug down on the floor. You could even trim the parts that pulled. You're not going to get through that backing. So just trim them before they get pulled worse, right? And you're not going to notice them. Trim everything down so it's all perfect. You can put this down on the floor. Don't let your cat near it. It's a fun piece. You could if you're lucky enough to have like a walk-in closet or something like that, it's a fun doormat too. It's a very fancy doormat for $20 and whatever it was for shipping. It's a great piece. It's a fun piece. And it's not a crime that it's a mass-produced rug. I've never seen this rug. So it's not like this rug has saturated the market. I've never seen it. I look at rugs all the time. I shop all the time. I think it's really curious and unusual, and it's a fun piece. I hope somebody who looks at it and says, that would make me smile every time. I got to have that for $20. That is well worth it. I think I'm not gonna go over tonight because I am super tired. That whole not having any water thing made me so stressed really late last night that I was up late and then I was not sleeping well because I was so worried that the whole thing was going to cost like $11,000, which it did. And it was just a stress, and I was just worried we were just not going to have water. And I knew that my mom would say that we could come over here and take a shower and stuff, but it's just also tricky, and frustrating. So I am excessively tired. And also the emotion, right? The emotional roller coaster of having a big problem around the house like that and worrying about which plumber was going to come, if anyone was going to come. I'm just tired. So I'm going to hit it, but it was a lot of fun looking at some rugs. And you know what? That was half the show. No, that was three-quarters of the show, but I do have a little bit more. So we'll look at the rest of it another time. But I love doing this. I love our nights when we get together and we look at new and old rugs and talk about where they fit into the marketplace and where they fit into this sort of scale of how hooked rugs are being valued right now. It's important to keep talking about this and have this conversation because there's always like the dark horse rug that does sell for like 3 or 4 thousand, and you're like, how did that must be a decorator who bought that one for someone with deep pockets, because that's just not in line with what that should cost right now. Those things can always happen and you can't account for that. But in, situations like this, on nights like this when we're together and we can talk about what's out there, what's for sale, if it's something that you might want to buy. The good thing about buying from eBay or Etsy as opposed to buying from an online auction is you know what the shipping is going to be. You're not going to be surprised by the shipping. And unless it has one of those key phrases like normal wear and tear or standard wear and tear stuff like that, or um, you probably aren't going to have a hard time if you get it right. It's not fair to the seller to get it and then say, I changed my mind. I don't like it as much as I thought I liked it. But if you get it and it doesn't have a problem that is a huge problem that wasn't clear or wasn't told, um, then you're going to be happy with it. But alternately, if you get it and you go, they didn't say that in the write up, I'm really angry. You should have no problem returning it on eBay. They're really good for that. So I feel better myself shopping about, oh, Dondi, great to see you. I'm just closing, but it was a super fun show. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I try. I really try. And I get a lot of energy back from you all here in the thread. So that helps a lot. I can relate after my baseball sized hail here, right, Ruth? Yeah, great. Fun times at home, right? Um, I feel better about shopping on eBay because I know I have the seller is very accountable, whereas auction houses just have more clout in some ways, but you might not get a good resolution in the end if you get something that isn't exactly what you thought, or the shipping could be way more than you thought, or there could be fees that you're not aware of. It makes me more nervous. So if you see things on Etsy that you think, I like that. That's great, and the shipping sounds reasonable to me. You can always rate the person too. In many of these rugs that you saw tonight, it says like best offer. So you put in your best offer, you're like, I'm not going to give you 100 for that, but I'll give you 50 for that. And maybe they don't answer your offer because they're like, poof. No, I'm not going to dignify that with, but 50 is also quite reasonable, I think, for like 12-inch mats, right? That were souvenirs. So you can always go that route too. You never know. Somebody might come back and say, meet me in the middle. And then if you're feeling it or not. But been a stressful week. Oh yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's good to talk about it, right? And to kind of bounce stuff off each other because it's like maybe people go on and buy one of those rugs tonight, and then that's like your happy thing for the weekend. Thinking about that, looking forward to that coming. I really enjoy nights like this, but next Friday we should do a gallery night. So start sending your stuff into me for gallery night, ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Let's do it next Friday night. I will so look forward to doing that together. It might be that the week after that's the week that I do the live thing with Dion Fitzpatrick, but I'll figure that all out. We're good for next week. Oh God, I was looking at August. I was like, oh God, no, what is it? May? It's not May. It's June. Yep, next Friday is Juneteenth, and God, I would love to do something for Juneteenth that like represents the sort of African American culture, Black culture here in rug cooking. But to be honest, that is an area where I would like to see some growth. I would we don't have a lot of sadly people who fit that criteria enough to make a show, which makes me super sad. It is something that needs to be worked on. We really need more diversity in rug hooking, right? We need more people representing in rug hooking. But it does fall on Juneteenth, so we will be together and we'll have a great show next Friday doing gallery night. Um, yeah, have a blessed week, everyone. Have a great weekend in the meantime. Tomorrow I'm headed to Rhode Island because there's another Pokemon card show. So I'm gonna leave Ted here with Gami, and me and Joss are gonna go and uh, and do that, and then we'll probably find some really crappy place to eat, like a diner or something like that. And I'll get something that's off the diet, and it'll be a nice day, but another hot day for us here. So I hope you're making good decisions and you can get comfortable at home because it's really getting hot. It's kind of like lingering because it's been quite a few days. So I hope that you have a comfortable weekend and a safe weekend for those of you who are out in Kansas or Iowa and you're having tornado watches and all of that. Hope you have a safe weekend. And I'll be back with you on Monday when we look at the current issue of Magpie Times, the new issue. And all of those are shipping now too. I'm catching up from that trip, right? I'm trying to catch up with everything in order. And we'll look at the new issue of Magpie Times and we'll talk a little bit about what are we missing in Magpie Times? How can we make it better? Because starting in the new year, possibly sooner, I will be doing Magpie Times by myself. So I'm going to really need some help. And I wouldn't mind putting together like a committee, informal. Of course, I make no money on Magpie Times. There's no advertising. So I make no money. If you're thinking I make money from the sales, I know if you've ever printed anything, you know that I'm not. So, but I do want to keep it going, particularly in the absence of Rug Hooking Magazine. I do really want to keep it going because it is a great outlet, and it's there for people who are new to rug hooking. It's a physical rug hooking magazine. It's very different than ATHA. Really want to keep it going, and I really want it to be better and better. And I am going to need a lot of extra help with it. I need a lot of extra ideas, but I will, everything in future, maybe after the next couple of issues will be completely my decision. So I might make some changes to the way that it looks. Not necessarily like the order of the articles or stuff like that, but maybe the way that the cover looks or the content. I might make some little changes here and there because I've been working with Judy and it's great working with a partner. But if I'm taking it over completely on my own, I want it to be just so. I don't mean that in a persnickety way, but I really want to be careful about things like things that are out of focus, things like that, things that are a little bit on the older side. I want to just see a lot of new material in there. I want to see different people's material in there. I want to celebrate more people more often. So we'll see how that goes. I definitely need some help, but we'll talk about all that on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when I log on for coffee time. And in the meantime, send me whatever you're working on. It doesn't have to be finished. Stuff you're working on, stuff you're about to work on, stuff you just finished, stuff you finished a while back that we haven't seen yet. Ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. I can't wait to put your work into next Friday's show. It's our favorite show, and we haven't had one for ages. So make sure you get that.